How you doing, guys? Welcome back to the Liquidstate. This week we're at Westlodge talking to the bar team about all things bar related, as well as the situation of the current Dubai market. Now, this video was filmed a couple of weeks ago, so as I'm sure many of you know, Nana has since left Westlodge to pursue other projects. However, in honor of his time there, we're still running with the video. Hope you enjoy the new format. It should be slightly different. For more videos and past videos, please follow us at theliquidstate.co.uk or on Facebook and Instagram. Enjoy the video, guys. Please leave your comments below.
My name is Nana Sacher, also known as Nana Coppertone, and I am a Canadian, moved here to Dubai, and I'm the bar manager of Westlodge.
And I am Emilio Valencia. I'm Mexican, I'm 32 years old. I'm the bar supervisor from Westlodge.
Well, I started off as a barback. I just needed extra cash, and my cousin was working in this little small club, and he's like, "Oh, come on in." I met with the manager. I had a pretty rough night the night before, and so I could barely even speak because I was out drinking. I went in the bar and it smelled like stale booze, but somehow I still got the job. I guess it was destiny, and from there I just really wanted to become a bartender, so I took any job I could. Ended up working for a big corporate restaurant, and that's really where my foundation comes from before the craft cocktail stuff took over my brain.
With me, I finished high school and I wanted to take a gap year, so I moved to London. And my first job in London was a rickshaw, which I was super lazy to do, so I started looking for a job in a bar. I got my first job as a bartender because I lied my way to the bar. Got trained, started growing from there, and I worked in Ronnie Scott's, where one of my managers came to Dubai to make consulting, and she's the one who brought me here.
Yeah, it was the Westlodge project. At the time, I was bar manager of a place in Ottawa, my hometown, and my good friend Isaac Feiner said he'd moved to Dubai, and I was like, "Oh, dude, all right, man, like maybe I'll come visit, who knows?" And then about a month later, as I was on my way out to an interview, he sent me a text. He's like, "So how about Dubai?" And I was a little overwhelmed at the time because I didn't know which direction I was going, but I was like, "Oh, Dubai, okay, I'll message you later." And I mean, to kind of shorten the story a little bit, once I had the interview in Toronto, I got back to Ottawa, gave my 2 weeks notice at both places, and I was on a plane, dropped everything back home, and started my life here.
It's funny because the way I got to Dubai was years after I worked in Ronnie Scott's. Basically, I moved back to Mexico, then to LA, then back to Mexico, and I never really fit after the 8 years that I was in London, looking for a way out again, to see if I went back to London or I moved to Asia or whatever. And Sarah Cristini, who's very good friends of mine, she was doing pre-opening for Asia Cuba. She wrote to me on Facebook and she was like, "Listen, we're looking for people for the bar." I had an interview with the bar manager at the time, with the GM at the time. They liked me, and 1 month later, I was already on a plane as well.
How could they not like you, man? How could they not like you? The first thing I realized when I got here, not all my jokes were going to translate. That was number one. And number two, just cultural sensitivities. And I'm not talking about necessarily like the traditional dresses and stuff like that. I'm talking more about perspectives. In terms of volume and how much people like to throw down, there's a lot of similarities. I kind of made a joke once about the taxi drivers here. I was saying like, sometimes it seems like it's such an international city that the world's worst drivers all congregated here in one city. Every bad driver comes to Dubai, and they're all from different parts of the world. But I think it's just trying to mesh infrastructures from different cities is always going to be hard. And I think that's Dubai's challenge. So I think that's where there's a disconnect, and that's where I'd come in and I'd expect to get my booze in 2 days if I order it. Meanwhile, on planet Earth, if I didn't order it on Sunday, I'm not getting it till Friday, but no one works on Friday. So sorry, weekend, you guys aren't getting whatever you wanted to get.
Let's say you have owners from, or the company that runs the place is Chinese, so they have a way of working, but you are Mexican or Canadian, so you have another idea behind how it should be run or how things should work. So it clashes sometimes, and you're like, whoa, I didn't realize it would be so difficult. Or it can be good, and you'll be like, oh, I didn't realize that it could go that way. So it has its good things and its bad things, and it makes an interesting learning process. And this is gonna sound horrible, but they're uneducated. They are spoiled, but they're also uneducated. The people who go out and enjoy the craft cocktail and a good service and a good meal, on my perspective, and what I've seen from working behind the bar and dealing with the guests coming and going, it's us, it's the industry. Most of our guests are the guests that back home would be drinking pints and eating burgers on the pub and so on. So they don't understand the craft behind what they're getting on the table. So,
yeah, I do think we need to do our best to lead them down the path a bit. But some of them just legitimately don't care. Like, they just want booze in a glass, and you know, they're out with their friends and they're like, I'm here to get smashed. I mean, there are obviously some people that are spoiled, because I think that there's some people that have a lot of money and they come from a more privileged kind of situation and they're used to getting things a certain way. But I know that's another thing I had to really adapt to, like kind of getting rid of my, like, it's supposed to be like this kind of thing, and saying, okay, well, dude's paying for it, man, so.
I think things like entertainer spoil the industry. Like, they come and expect everything cheap, everything 2 for 1, and if they don't get it, they threaten with like bad reviews and so on, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, that's where people are definitely spoiled. There's so many discounts in this city, like so many. You can literally go out and not have to pay a dime.
If you're a woman.
If you're a woman, exactly. Yeah, for us it's a little different. I'm like, oh, cool, I still spent €1,000. I haven't gone home yet. But yeah.
And the fact that a lot of places are so afraid of the guests that they go like, oh no, please don't go talk shit about us. Come back and we'll give you a free dinner or whatever. And if I was that kind of person, I'll go out and complain everywhere and get free meals everywhere.
Obviously, when it comes to any corporate hotel, they have their global standards that they have to adhere to. And if you're an independent working within that hotel, whether you follow those rules or not, you're going to be affected, because their timings are set, their procedures are set. Until you learn how they operate, you're going to be running around like a chicken with your head cut off, trying to figure out, like, when am I going to get my Hendrix? Like, basically. Yeah. What I've done anyway with this place is I've made sure I've formed a relationship with the hotel. Because I think a lot of independents don't necessarily try and form those relationships. So it's the relationship building. I think that's where the corporate and the independent can merge.
My experience when I was running the bar at El Sur was that if your venue is good enough and you're in a hotel, you will never be empty. That's where the symbiosis from hotel and independent happens for me. A way to encourage more standalone venues is that you have the freedom of making things happen right now. You don't have to go through all the hierarchy of like, well, it goes to my manager, and then the manager goes to the GM of the place, and then the GM goes to the F&B manager, and the F&B manager goes, and it goes up the scale until it's been 2 months and nothing has happened. Whereas as an independent, you want to change your prices, you sit one day, change everything, it's done.
But I think the next step is finding different ways to affect the licensing of the city. So I know that they're looking for ways to get around some of their more core values. But yeah, I think they just have to start getting a bit more creative in terms of the licensing and allowing a bit more freedom.
Licensing, that is, I think, a little bit way over my head. Because I understand why they do it, right? Like it's all about the culture and how rowdy Westerns can get when they get drunk. But as long as the laws still apply, I think there is a chance for like a strip of land or a certain area in Dubai that could be just standalone. So yeah, I think it has to come from the top, and I see them looking at the world and going like, what can we do to make the world realize that we're not backwards? Yeah. And it's happening, and it's very smart, and I think it's a great move. I guess it's just a matter of time, maybe.
There's room for the independence to come, but I think it's creating a situation where everything's becoming so spread out, and there might be a case of too many in too small of a market presently. You're hearing about, oh, Dubai opened 500 restaurants last year, 200 closed, right? Like I think it's the fact that it's tied to hotels that are so big, so luxurious, and have to fill a quota based on their global standard. That's where there's a bit of a disconnect. When we first opened here, everyone asked us a question. Oh, you're from Canada? So they brought you out here to open the place? Amazing. This place has such a great vibe. I really hope that all of you stay. Because so many restaurants open and everyone leaves, and then it's a totally different place and the vibe isn't the same. And I know that's a major thing that happens, and that fact alone shows that it's not sustainable. But I know that when I got here, to bring me from Canada, you know, this guy who was curious about the Middle East, didn't really know much, I know I cost a lot of money. You know?
Yeah. And then imagine if you need to fill a place with 20 front of house, 10 back of house, plus head office, plus HR, plus finance, purchasing, it just stacks up.
You know, as a bartender, you know, you always get those people saying, man, one day you should open up your own place. And, you know, thinking about opening up a place here is just, in my head, I'm like, no, man, like that's, I don't know, I'm not that rich. Like, you know, you need to have like a board of people that, yeah, maybe that's also part of it. Like, you have to have a board of investors who are probably all great people, but they don't have the experience in the restaurant industry.
I think it's also the cost of living is getting a little out of hand. Like, you go out and a night out can cost you 1,000 dirhams, and like he said, you haven't even gotten home. You know what I mean? Like, it's just difficult to justify what you're making with how much you need to spend to have a normal life, and the fact that there is not much else to do but go out and drink. But yeah, in the long run, I don't think it's sustainable either, and I think the government has realized that.
It's a really good question, actually, because I think that's a big difference between Dubai and, I don't know, a Seattle. Right? Seattle, you hear about these homegrown coffee shops and the bar scene. There's a certain level and all these different clothing stores, etc. And that's where, you know, for hipsters or whatever, like, that's where they say, man, the city's got a lot of soul, you know. And you hear that about Dubai, like, there isn't a soul here. But I don't believe that. I think there is a soul. I think the people are here with the soul. But yeah, it's I'm not quite sure why there isn't as much homegrown. It'd be cool to see a brand from Dubai, whether it's clothing or a restaurant or whatever. I think restaurants, maybe it's because Dubai culture hasn't necessarily been defined. I think there isn't necessarily a defined definition, like a definition of this is so Dubai.
I don't think it's so much as the defined culture, because it's a multicultural melting pot, right? So I think it comes back again to the cost of just opening any kind of business. You know, like you wanna start a clothing line, where are you gonna sell it? From your house, maybe, but then eventually you need to move into a cube where you have everything display and people come and they go like, okay, this is Nana's clothing line or Emilio's chili sauce shop. You know what I mean?
Operating out of the back of our truck.
Yeah, because we don't have the money for the rent, because you have to do it on a shopping mall or in a hotel or restaurant. So the problem is that the people who start homegrown brands is us. There is not the guys who have the owners of Imar or Damac. They already made their money and they're already made their companies. It's the little people like us who want to be an entrepreneur and start a business. But here is the cost of that, at least in my opinion, that hinders that process of making a homegrown brand.
So when it comes down to this guy's got a cool idea, he might be very talented, but we don't know if it'll succeed, versus I'm going to open up a Zuma because they have X amount of locations around the world. The investor is going to go with the no-brainer as opposed to the fresh, cool person who's charming and has a creative mind.
Okay.
For me, just to touch on that point, for me, I think the best example of a homegrown brand in bars, it was Little Black Door. They nailed it. They nailed their concept. They nailed what they wanted to give to the people, and you didn't see it anywhere else in the world.
I think back where I'm from, and yeah, all over the world, there's all kinds of angel investors, and they put together centers where people have ideas, they can go in and learn how to create a business. So maybe creating more centers and opportunities for people to learn that and give more grants, give more opportunities.
In Mexico, we have a fund where, let's say, and I'm just giving a broad example, the government puts money there, and you go and present your project, and if the government likes it, they'll give you the grant. And it's brilliant because right now there is a lot of homegrown brands, beer brands, spirits, bars, restaurants, clothing lines coming out in Mexico very strong. Like right now, the whole creative universe in Mexico is developing very well because the government is helping the young minds to develop that. Now, if that was to happen here, then the cost of everything has to be also more accessible. You can't be spending 250K on visas alone, and then 250K on the rent, and then 250K on alcohol every time you know what I mean? Like it just builds up, and your bill at the end of the month is unreal.
I love Koya. I love going there.
I think if I had to choose my top two, it would be Suma and Koya probably.
International.
Oh wow.
Westlodge, something.
I really like this little place in Mexico City called Hanky Panky. It's speakeasy. You get to eat through the kitchen of a taco place. And I really like Dandelion in Dandelion, yeah.
I actually my favorite bar internationally is Bar Chef. That guy is so creative, and he's literally what sparked any creativity I have in terms of cocktails, because
that's
a whole new level.
right?
In Toronto, yeah. Tequila.
And mezcal. And if I had to choose any other, I'll go with whiskey.
Yeah, same. Yeah, tequila, whiskey.
Vodka.
My least favorite spirit. Yeah, I guess I'll have all them vodka. Yeah, Negroni.
Tommy's Margarita.
I'm gonna say Vesper, mainly because yeah, sure, it's James Bond's martini, but I don't mind drinking them. But anytime I've seen anyone else order and drink a Vesper, they just aren't loving it. Yeah.
Bloody Mary for me. I don't understand why people like it. It's just like a soup.
Soup in a glass.
Double jigger. For me, I don't understand double jigger.
Yeah, one is enough. It's got two sides. Yeah, worst bartend? I'd have to come back to that. I can't think of. Okay, worst bartend is the person that puts mixology above customer service. That for me is also like, these aren't the exact words, but it's always been to make sure that the guest in front of you is having the best possible time they can, because at the end of the day, they're the ones paying your bills. They're the ones making sure that this place stays open, and if they're having a good time, then everything else works.
Just love what you do. At the end of the day, we're here to make people have a good time, so we should be having fun as well. So just have fun behind the bar. Also, one guest in London, when I was working in the city, gave me 1p. He told me invest it well. I think that's also one of the best pieces of advice I've ever had. Just have a great attitude and be willing to learn how to take criticism, and don't give up.
Be willing to learn is a very good one. Don't lose your soul. I think people need to start focusing more on not saying what they feel they have to say to win, but making it more of an intrinsic, like this is actually what you believe. Making it way more personal and way more authentic. I think there needs to be a touch more originality, not just on the cocktails, but on how you're presenting the cocktail.
I understand why brands want you to talk about the brand, because at the end of the day, they're paying for whatever it is that you're winning. But it's personal, right? You made a drink. You shouldn't be forced to create a backstory that is inspiring. Maybe one day you were in the toilet and you thought of a great recipe for a cocktail, right? Like inspiration comes out in the most random places.
Hope it doesn't taste the same.
Yeah, no. And people should stop being all snobby when they're presenting. Like, so we're at the end of the day, we're bartenders. It should be rock and roll and fire. Yeah, for sure.
100%.
I've been to places here in Dubai, and I won't say name obviously, but I've seen people being afraid of ordering something because they think the bartender might make them feel bad, and that's terrible.
Yeah, bartending, I mean, as much as people might make fun of the disco period of bartending, the cool cocktails and like B-52s and all that, at the end of the day, those guys and girls were just having fun. They were creating an atmosphere, and for a while it became so serious. Like, all of a sudden, you've got to have a chef's palate, which is great, and it's a really advanced industry, but people focused too much on that element instead of remembering the fact that, we're not making drinks for us. Like, I'm not buying the drink, I'm making it. Like, let's make sure that the atmosphere is there.
Yeah.
And so the fun was gone. But I think once some of the heavyweights, like the DeGrasse, like the whoever, started saying, okay, you know what? Remember, guys, it's about hospitality. That's when it started to come back. It's like those guys had to lead the charge on it.
There's time for being serious and time to have fun, and you need to learn to discern when and when. I think it's okay. I don't see it, like, for example, a lot of people were telling me when I was competing in world class that I should step away from the Mexican influence on my cocktails, and I was like, why? It's who I am. But at the end of the day, it is okay to be whatever you want to be, and if it works and if you're good at it and if it's feeding you, why stop? But I think it is too trend driven, and I think that it's so trend driven that if you step away, people go like, "The fuck are you doing? And why are you doing it like that?"
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's very trend driven, and maybe that's touching on what I was saying about the competitions, that it needs to just come more from here and just do your style and don't deviate. be the best at your style, like Kung Fu masters. I'm the best at Tiger style. He's been doing Tiger style for 7 years. Let him do it.
The rock stars of the industry are just when bartenders forgot that they are bartenders and started to think of themselves as rock stars. I think everything went a little bit high.
Career high, honestly, coming out here. The fact that I came out here and I've been able to do what I've done here at Westlodge and compete and meet amazing people, and coming out here. Seriously, that's career high.
Low?
Career low.
Meeting Emilio. No.
Hiring Emilio.
Probably right before I got here, because I was at a point where I felt I had plateaued. I didn't know what I wanted to do in the industry going forward, and I wasn't in a good place, plain and simple. So it was, that's probably the lowest.
For me, lowest career point was probably just before leaving London. I was so lost, and I didn't want to bartend anymore, and I wasn't having fun anymore, and I've broken up with my girlfriend at the time and so on. Highest career moment probably last year. Last year was unreal for me. Like winning People's Choice in World Class, Bartender of the Year, and then Patron Perfectionist was just unreal. And what that has opened to me is crazy. Alright, so guys, thank you for watching. Just follow me in Instagram at your favorite bartender with the favorite English spelling. And on Facebook, you know where to find me.
And you can do the same, Nana Coppertone, but please do, for more bartender profiles, follow the liquidstate.co.uk on the website, and also on Facebook, Instagram at the Liquid State.
Yeah, baby. Rock and roll.